Despite how much I want to tear that other Jeep apart, I gotta get the Comanche out of the driveway. So, in order to drive it reliably on the highway, I'm gonna need to overhaul everything in here. So I still have death wobble. I'm sick of trying to track it down and deal with it, so I'm just gonna overhaul the whole front suspension and hope that solves the problem. While I'm in here, I'm also gonna inspect the wheel bearings, make sure those are okay. So it is really windy, but I don't have time to care about that. Here's everything we're gonna do. I'm gonna replace all the control arms, the control arm bushings, the ball joints, the steering linkage, and the tie rod ends. Got a new track bar. I'm going down to the frickin' sway bar links. I'm sick of death wobble. I'm sure everybody else who's had it is equally as not happy about it as I am. So in order to do all this, I don't really need any special tools other than a ball joint press kit. So I went to AutoZone to rent one of these and they didn't have any. But I also needed this adapter piece for the Dana 30 because it's got kind of a slight angle to it. You do need this. It's a pain in the ass without this. I've done ball joints a couple times and I absolutely despise the job. It's probably my least favorite thing to do on a vehicle is press fit anything. I would rather do a rear main seal again than ball joints. So this was, I don't know. Anyway, let's get started. Oh, look at that. I got all this done while you weren't even looking in that half a second it took me to jump cut to here. So, got the lower control arm out. Used an impact gun because I'm in a hurry and I don't want to. You should have seen those bolts. My father is cleaning the bolts up right now. So I got the brake caliper held by this very convenient hole right here. This actually wasn't that hard to get out of here. I was kind of afraid that it was gonna put up a fight. But they've been replaced before. They've just were replaced with really cheap parts. And so that's why they failed in 3 years. Anyway, I bought these control arms from 1A Auto. The company is called TRQ. I mean, just looking at it, comparing it to the old one, you can see it's a much higher quality part. Wheel bearing is good. There's a lot of resistance in there, but I think that's in the differential. But it doesn't move at all. And I've soaked all this with peanut butter. So I'm gonna take that off. Well, first I'm gonna replace the control arm. I'm probably gonna do the upper one too as well while I'm in here. Then I gotta take off the wheel bearing and the hub so I can get to the ball joints. Oh my, that's gonna suck. All right, this is the bolt I gotta get out. It is a 12-point half-inch. The wrench will literally not even fit on there. But I'm gonna get it out. Oh, yes. I feel like I'm way better at this than I should be. There's no reason I should have to fight like this with every bolt on my car. Yeah. Dang. That U-joint is fried. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Incredible. Oh yeah, and look at how easy this turns. I'd say those ball joints are definitely done for too. Oh my God. When a ratchet is stronger than a breaker bar. Dang. For the bottom bolt, I never figured out what size this was. I've always just used a pipe wrench. Alright. Okay, it's gonna disintegrate, isn't it? Does this even fit on here? Nope. A couple persuasive taps with the sledgehammer, and we're on our way. That was a lot more caked up before I mangled it with the pipe wrench. Okay, now we gotta get this thing off of here. You can see this twists with the ball joints that easily, so that's done for. Okay, now I'm gonna be able to do it with this thing. All right. This is what I mean when I say I hate doing ball joints. So, the knuckle will not come off with the ball joints. It will not. Or would not, I should say. Until I set up the press thing in here with all these stupid adapters, and I even had to put a crowbar in between the bottom part because there was no adapter piece that fit in there because the C-clamp wasn't big enough. You know, I hate these things. And still, it barely fits in the top here. Anyway, with that all under an extreme amount of tension, then I hit this with the sledgehammer. And now it's free. So now I just gotta get this all back off of here, take the knuckle out, put it all back on here, break my back tightening it down to get one ball joint out, and repeat the process 3 more times for all the other ones. Whoa, would you look at that? It's like 2 hours later and everything's out. So, I didn't do any of this. My father did. Thank you, Father, because So yeah, both ball joints are out. Wheel hub is off. That was a pain. He had to hit that with a full swing from the sledgehammer. I actually got called away on a rescue mission. Not going to make a video about that for privacy reasons, but a certain individual's brakes went out on their car, so I had to go diagnose that problem, and that called me away for about 2 hours. So unfortunately, I can't get this all done today. It's a new day. Here's where we're at. I had to do the same thing on this side to get the knuckle off. I had to have it all under an extreme amount of tension and hit it with the sledgehammer. And the wheel bearing was an absolute pain to get out of here. That took a while. But yeah, here's where we're at with Death Wobble. I would say that could possibly maybe have at least something to do with it. And there's hardly any grease left in it because the boot is torn as well. The upper one is surprisingly fine. There's a little bit of play in it, just a little bit. I thought they were both going to be shot. But yeah, that's still good. Probably seized, honestly. I do wonder if anybody's had this problem before. This bolt broke off of its little perch. Luckily, I do have an arsenal of Torx bits. Relatively inconvenient, but it's not going to stop me. So here's the old sway bar link. I do believe it is the wrong part. You can see it would have the sway bar sitting slightly lower than this one. Now, I'm not really an expert on sway bars, but that might affect the way it operates and like the, you know, the angles it sits at. So I'm hoping with the correct part, I'll reduce body roll a little bit. So I got these new sway bar links in here. You can see it is now sitting at a much better level than it was before. Before it was like tilted downward because they weren't long enough. Now, I would usually go a lot more in depth with this kind of stuff, but a couple reasons I'm not. Number one, this is all the exact same as XJ's. You know, there's nothing Comanche specific about the front suspension. This is all completely identical to similar era XJ's and almost identical to pretty much every other Jeep. So like everybody already knows a lot of this stuff. So I don't need to make like an in-depth like every little thing I'm doing. This one I'm just kind of half-assing it today. Number two, I gotta worry about this thing. So I don't want to go into too much detail about what I got going on here, but yeah, I bought another Jeep because I have a problem. But this is why. Whoa. So that's going to be next up. I need to get this fixed so I can get it out of the driveway so that I can tear everything out of this bad boy. With the help of my wonderful assistant, we have the ball joints in the passenger side. This actually wasn't all that bad because I had these both sitting in the freezer overnight, so they were both so cold that when I took them out here they were like iced up with condensation. It was pretty cool. Because they're cold and you know the axle stuff is outside temperature, it was a lot easier to press them in. Now the bottom one wasn't going in evenly. The best way to fix that when they're not going in evenly is to just hit the side of it on both these sides. Usually that'll persuade it to go in straight. So this side's done. The hardest part is done over here. I got to do the same thing on the other side. Also, I replaced both the control arms on this side, and screw replacing that bushing. That is not happening. Absolutely not. I watched Bleepin' Jeep's video on this damn thing, and he just zips an impact gun in here like it's nothing. Just, oh yep, just gonna press the bushing out like this, and then you put the new one in like this, and that's all there is to it. No, that is not all there is to it. Does it look like there's any room in here for an impact gun? No, it does not. And he conveniently didn't show where he had the impact gun in his video. It was probably on an XJ lifted 4.5 inches or something. So I'm just gonna hope to the heavens that the upper control arm bushings are fine and not worry about it, because I don't have the time, patience, or energy to worry about these right now. They're probably original. They were not coming out of there. So I got to replace the other control arm up there, and that will have replaced 6 of the 8 total bushings, which I'm pretty sure will be fine. Now, death wobble 100% was caused by the old lower ball joints. They were absolutely fried, both of them. The upper ones were fine. But I feel like just by replacing these, it would have fixed death wobble. The control arms are just like an extra measure, so I don't think bad upper control arm bushings on the front is going to cause death wobble in any regard. Oh, damn. Look at that. Frost. I can't get this thing off of here. Crowbar.
I just like playing the sport. That's it. Oh. So lame.
All right. Here's how you're supposed to have this set up. You're supposed to take this little rubber seal off of the bottom. I just couldn't get it off because it was so cold. So now that I'm doing this the correct way, it should go in easier. Ugh. And now the sun goes behind the clouds. After I did all that hard work in direct sunlight. I love Wisconsin, it's so great here. It was sprinkling earlier. Yep, let's fully see the ball joint. Alright, now. Geez, you can almost pull that right in there. Look how cold it is. Okay. Alright, ball joint's done. I'm beginning to see how ambitiously naive it was for me to expect to have this all done in a day. There were a lot of setbacks. So I've got the knuckles on both sides and all the control arms are in. I'm going to clean these out because they're really freaking rusty in there. And the wheel bearings were an absolute pain in the ass to get out. I mean, that probably took half an hour to get each of the wheel bearings out of the knuckle. Now I'm not going to replace the wheel bearings until the next episode, so I'm going to put in the old ones for now. I'm going to get new ones in the next episode when I overhaul the four-wheel drive system. Before I put these back in here, I'm going to clean them up a little bit. This ridge along here rides inside the knuckle seal thing that I was cleaning earlier. So I just took that to the grinding wheel and cleaned it off. As you can see, it came out pretty nicely. It's almost like they're brand new. I did get new bolts for the wheel bearings because these things are not too happy about existing. And two of them stripped out when I tried to get them off, so I had to grab them with a pipe wrench, which did work. But I went to the local hardware store and bought some of these. They are 12 by 1.75 millimeter by 90 millimeters long, and the head is 19 millimeters. And because it's got a wider head, it doesn't need the flanged surface on here. So I've also included a locking washer, and I've been using these bolts instead as replacements. There's the wheel bearings installed. I know how much you Jeep guys hate anything that's not an Imperial hex head, so these bolts work good. Rookie mistake. I destroyed the axle seal when I was putting this shaft in. Now I don't really understand how you're supposed to put the passenger side shaft in without destroying the axle seal for the CAD system, but it doesn't really bother me because I'm going to tear this all apart again anyway. But for now, I guess track bar, steering linkage, and then the brakes, and then the wheels. Track bar bolt I have upgraded to a thicker bolt. I do have a video explaining what that's all about if you're interested. Speaking of which, I'm getting there. It's literally been like 2 minutes and I already got the steering linkage in because I've done it so many times. I may as well be able to do this in my sleep. Brakes are on. Happy Wisconsin. This is what happens when you let brake rotors sit out for, what, 7 days? Yeah. So, I do believe everything's back together. I'm going to do one final check and make sure everything's good, and then I'm going to put the wheels on. Now, I haven't actually driven this thing in quite a while because Death Wobble was really bad, so that'll be fun. A quick rundown of everything I've replaced. We did the control arms, both upper and lower, the whole steering linkage, the track bar, all the tie rod ends, the sway bar links, and of course the ball joints, which aren't here because I threw them away already because they don't deserve to be featured on the channel. Now it's time to start it up. I don't know, it's been quite a while, like I said. We'll see what happens. Oh yeah, she's ready to go. Wake up, sleeping beauty. We gotta go for a test drive. Well, it certainly handles a lot better now. The steering wheel is not straight, but that'll be fixed with an alignment. So, whenever you used to turn on really tight corners in this thing, the steering wheel would pulsate. And I thought that was the U-joints and the axle shafts kind of binding up, but it doesn't do that now. Because apparently that was the ball joints and the wheel was wobbling in and out. So yeah, there's a fix for that. I would usually, show you what's up a bit more, but I don't have time for that. We got to start on Operation Lettuce. So this bad boy is going to get parked for a little bit. Runs fine, runs great. I love it. But next up, I've mentioned it a couple times. Before winter comes, I want to fix the four-wheel drive. So I'm going to get an ASI linkage because I had to cut out the stock linkage when we put the new floor pans in. I'm going to restore the front drive shaft. I'm probably going to make a video about how to rebuild the double cardigan on that. And then I'm going to bypass the CAD system in the front. And that should fix the four-wheel drive. So that's next up for Operation MJ. Next up for operations in general, Operation Lettuce.